Well, hello again, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of notable people in North Texas. My guest today is William Brotherton, owner of the Brotherton Law Firm in Highland Village and the Brotherton Real Estate Group. Mr. Brotherton is also a Native American member of the Abenaki Nation. Thank you for being here, William.
You bet. Happy to be here.
If you would, please tell our viewers something about your background.
Well, I'll just start with my law background. I have done a variety of things. In 1994, I graduated in the first class at Texas Wesleyan University School of Law. Started in '89, 5 years of night classes. Actually passed the bar the first year and started practicing law, which complemented many of the things that I'd done before. And so in 1997, I started my own firm, and we just celebrated our 20th anniversary. We have 6 attorneys, and my oldest daughter also practices with me.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yes, 20 years. And you have a building over there in Highland Village.
That's correct. It's a 2-story building at Morris and FM 407.
Oh.
And you know, it's funny, Texas always wants 2 names for everything, and I have to say Justin Road in addition to FM 407.
That's right, just to be sure. All right. So, how about your first job? What was it? As a railroad brakeman and conductor?
That was my first notable job, so to speak. What had gotten me to North Dakota, I was the environmental manager for the largest industry in North Dakota, a company called International Co-op. And we had moved there in '77, and in '79 the company went bankrupt, and we decided we liked North Dakota, and I talked my way into a job as a brakeman with the Burlington Northern Railroad. So I ended up working freight trains all across the West.
That had to be exciting.
Oh, it
Really?
was fun to be riding in a locomotive or a
Oh,
caboose
right.
going through Minnesota woods or in the backdrop of the Black Hills. It was just,
Oh.
it was
For a
fantastic.
young man, what an adventure.
Oh, it was.
That's-
It was, absolutely.
And your first book was about railroads. That seems to be a passion of yours.
It is, and after I spent about 5 years with the railroad, and I was promoted to train master with the Colorado and Southern Railroad, and I used to conduct a lot of investigations which were very similar to court proceedings. And so I ended up thinking, boy, I'd like to be an attorney. And so ultimately I took a buyout from the railroad, but I stayed involved with railroading. And after I got my law degree, I became general counsel for the Museum of the American Railroad, and I was recently elected as global director of the National Railroad Historical Society.
Is that right? Wow. What about other published books? Do you have?
Well, the first book is Burlington Northern Adventures, Railroading in the Days of the Caboose. And then I have a second book coming out with a working title of Confederate Indians. And it's about growing up in small town Atlanta. And I had a mixed background because my mother was from Vermont and she was Native American, and my dad was from Augusta, Georgia. And so I grew up in Atlanta but spent summers in Vermont, so I got a dose of both cultures.
Well, that's a good way to expand the person. You know. Wow, that's a lot of good adventures in your early life. And I want to ask you about your Native American heritage. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, our grandmother, Nellie Bourgeois Lamphere, was from Quebec and was full-blooded Abenaki. And in fact, when I would spend summers up there, she would build a sweat lodge, and she always asked me to go with her to spend a few days to cleanse out the evil spirits and things of that sort.
What is a sweat lodge?
A sweat lodge is sacred to Native Americans in that it's a way to go and do reflection, to sit in a very hot place and purge yourself of evil things and more or less get reborn. And
Is it like a form of meditation?
to a certain extent it is, yes.
And how long is that done? At what period of time?
Well, you know, people will stay in a sweat lodge for a full day or longer. But a lot of times you have to make sure that you're in healthy enough condition to be able to withstand the heat.
Sure, yeah, yeah, I guess because you would lose a lot of fluid over a period of 24 hours, it was, that's why
That's-
they called it a sweat lodge.
Sweat lodge,
I guess.
that's correct.
Being a partly Native American, this has a major influence on your life?
It has, and about 20 years ago, I started becoming really involved with my tribe and started working with them to try and help bring about some good changes in terms of unemployment issues and domestic violence and drug abuse that afflicts many Native American nations. And so just last year, I was asked to run for tribal council, and I was elected and now serve on tribal council for the Abenaki Nation of Missisquoi.
You did legal work for, I came across something about the pipeline, or?
What I did, I acted as an effort to try and mediate a resolution between the Standing Rock Sioux and Energy Transfer, who was building the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Right.
And I spent almost a year on the Standing Rock Reservation trying to help them address issues like 85% unemployment, a horrific youth suicide rate, diabetes that's running rampant, and try to figure out how to look forward to the future. And unfortunately wasn't able to make a lot of headway in that because so much of Native American culture is steeped in everything that's been taken from tribes as opposed to looking forward.
Right. And you are also an adopted member of the Sioux Nation of North Dakota.
As part of the work I did in terms of the Fighting Sioux name with the University of North Dakota, where I graduated from, I represented a number of Sioux tribal members in a suit to get the Sioux nations, both Sioux tribes, the Standing Rock and Spirit Lake, involved in any name change of the Fighting Sioux name. And as a result of that effort and what I had tried to accomplish at Dakota Access, I was brought into the tribe as an adopted member.
And you were given the name Tasunka Masa, which translates as Iron Horse.
Correct, and the ceremony was quite extensive. We went out into the reservation. There were probably 30 tribal members. There was a lengthy sweat lodge ceremony, and then we smoked the chanupa, the sacred pipe, and then the medicine man pronounced my Sioux name of Tasunka Maza, which of course means iron horse, and the medicine man was aware of my railroad background, and that's why he gave the name.
Because Iron Horse refers to the train, the iron.
Correct.
Correct. All right, so there was quite an induction ceremony involved in
There was.
And you were in the sweat,
Sweat lodge.
The sweat lodge.
For about 4 hours.
4 hours?
Yes.
Well, was that all you could take was 4 hours?
Well, there was about 30 people in the sweat lodge,
yeah.
so it was pretty crowded.
Well, that's very interesting. I know that you're an avid golfer, so I have to ask you something about that. How often do you play golf?
I try to play 2 to 3 times a week and sometimes more. And generally, unless it's really, really hot, I walk with my carry bag, and because golf should be an exercise. And of course, I am an avid golfer. I work at the Masters every year as a gallery guard on the 14th hole and get to play Augusta National. And next year, or actually this year coming up, I'm going to be working as a marshal at next year's British Open.
Wow. So I guess your favorite course then would be the
Augusta National.
Right. And what's your handicap anyway?
It's actually a 14.
Well, all right. Well, that's. How about? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Is there another book in the office, or maybe something about golf?
Well, and you know, having worked at Augusta National for the last 12 years, I've got a lot of stories. And there may well be a book about golf, or maybe even the practice of law after my next book comes out.
All right, well, William, I tell you something, you're one of the reasons I like doing these interviews, because you meet so many interesting people. And I really appreciate you being here, and great luck in your travels.
All right, you bet. Thanks, Bob.
Take care of yourself, and thank you for watching.